All right, so here we are in our final game. We get to be on the play, which is super sweet. Opponent seems to be frustrated with counter magic. So this is a hand that I'm going to keep on the play, even though I don't have a 2-drop. We have a way that we can instantly start running away with the game. We have our really good mana. And unless we're against, and even if we're against like a fairly aggressive deck, Thalia on turn 3 is going to be quite nice also. Ooh, Deathcap Cultivator, that's a sweet one. Really hoping we draw a 2-drop, but oh well. Also really hoping my opponent doesn't play like Grim Flayer here. That'd actually be pretty annoying because of the trample. I can handle that. Opponent's ramping up. We actually have serious Planeswalkerage online. Unfortunately, our opponent can even just attack into our Nissa with this Deathcap Cultivator, although he may have bigger plans. Something like the 4-mana 4/5 flyer would be pretty devastating. That's fine. If our opponent wants to pay 2 mana to draw cards while we have Planeswalkers on the board, that's fine by me. Oh, that's nice. And I think that I'm going to try to ultimate this Nissa. I may have to worry about something like Ruinous Path from my opponent. We might be up against a green-black deck. It's unclear. Nope, green-white. Interesting. I wonder if we're up against a Thalia's Lieutenant's deck. Oh, look at this. That's cool. Up against good old Bant. So our opponent could tap 2 of our guys and attack, but he can't actually kill either of our Planeswalkers. If he attacks with both, our Gideon can snipe that Tamiyo. Alright, well that's clever. I shouldn't realize you could do that. So, well, I guess this still means I get to kill Tamiyo, which is fine. Oh wait, no it doesn't. Well, I could trade Planeswalkers. Actually, pretty good play on my opponent's part. So, alright, well I guess I just let Gideon die. And then play another Gideon. Make a token, minus the Nissa, kill Tamiyo. The other option is to just double chump. Yeah, I think I'm just going to double chump. I can play my Thalia. I can still make more dudes. And we've got the mana for Ajani. So the plus on Tamiyo could be pretty annoying. There's a good chance our opponent draws some extra cards, but as long as we get to ultimate our Nissa, none of it will really matter. Ooh, Vital Force. What's up, Trample? What's he going to do with Tamiyo? This is interesting. Wow, going to combat before Tamiyo seems like a mistake. I feel like there should have either been a plus or a minus. And our opponent just forgot about Tamiyo. Alright, so it looks to me like my opponent is looking to ultimate Nissa. Not a whole lot we can do about that. Yeah, opponent forgot to use Tamiyo, which is pretty backbreaking. Is this a counter? Wow, negate. Well, that means that we're still going to be in an okay situation. I think we want to make sure the Nissa doesn't ultimate. So our opponent's going to have to chump block with this Tireless Tracker, which is kind of a win in and of itself. I guess it's actually free for us to send this at Tamiyo. And we've got more than enough to protect our Nissa. Because we do want ultimate Nissa. That's probably our best way to just win this game. No, it seems really tough for our opponent. Maybe he has something like Declaration in Stone where he can kill 2 tokens with 1 card and get some damage in on our Nissa that way. Could also just have, Ruinous Path. But I think my opponent's just going to be spending a lot of mana to draw cards with Tireless Tracker, and it's just going to be too inefficient. The main story of this game, I think, is unfortunately that our opponent just failed to use Tamiyo on that one turn. I think that turn my opponent had a lot of options. So I kind of just assumed that there was like an Avacyn. That's why I didn't block with my Knight ally. Maybe that was overly cautious. Not really sure. Wow, drawing another card. Okay. Is there no way we can just kill our opponent this turn? No. Certainly do a lot of damage. And we're going to draw a lot of cards. Oh, yes. Alright, not the best, but certainly good enough. And I think we're going to get a emblem and a plant. And we're going to bash with the team. And my opponent needs Fumigate and then needs to deal with the Planeswalkers. Basically needs like Planar Outburst. And I have an Avacyn in hand. A really bad spot for my opponent. Things have really swung around. Deck's pretty cool though. It's like 4-color. I have to imagine there's Servant of the Conduits in here also. Is this Sorin? Or Ob Nixilis? Maybe my opponent just has Fumigate. I feel like my opponent has no good options. This is a situation where it really becomes apparent to me why I've never really played Tireless Tracker in Standard. I mean, there's been a few times, but it's like a good card, but it's just really inefficient. 3 mana for a 3/2 is not particularly good in Standard, and paying 2 mana to draw a card isn't really that great either. With my Nissa, it's just a one-time investment. I got to make a bunch of plants. I had the option to minus to make power and toughness, and then I drew 7 cards with my Nissa. So, you know, it just pales in comparison. And my opponent doesn't know how Thalia works. I wonder if my opponent had a Planar Outburst and is trying to cast it with is it Surge? No, not Surge. Shoot, what's it called? With Awaken. That's what I'm thinking of. And that's gonna resolve. I don't know how my opponent plans on winning, but we'll see. The fact that I have 2 Avacyns is pretty nice also. And there's a good chance that I ultimate this Nissa also. Essentially just, what the heck? Wow, so my opponent's just gonna deploy. Wow, this is actually awesome. My opponent's playing Deploy the Gatewatch. Wow, so cool. So if he has Sorin in his deck, he could kill something. Unfortunately, this Ajani's just gonna die for minimal value, so that's a little unfortunate. My opponent had a little more going on the board. That could be a pretty powerful play, but without a way to really protect them, not gonna work out so well. I do like the ramping up into Planeswalkers, play the Gatewatch, and whatnot. Now that I know my opponent's playing sweepers, I still have this other Avacyn. This is obviously just totally gross. I can't kill my opponent this turn. But I think next turn I'll probably be able to. I'd consider this game at this point completely unlosable. Unless my opponent has some sort of Saheeli Felidar combo. Sure. Go my Avacyn, go for it. I actually have enough mana to play both my Gideons. Make emblems with them. Yeah, my opponent's just dead on this turn. Wow, to the slaughter with Delirium. So that's kind of cool. I'll lose the Gideon. And he's dead on board. All right. So the sweepers are a little concerning. I wouldn't mind having... I think instead of the Ajani, I'm going to have the Nissa. Oh, actually, I can get away with not having the Blossom Defense. And I think I can trim a Lambholt Pacifist for the other Ajani. And then we can rock and roll with that. Makes me a bit more mid-rangey. Nissa is really good at attacking other planeswalkers. And if my opponent's playing sweepers, and just, generically casting a lot of stuff, then, I don't think my Lambholt Pacifists are going to do a whole lot. So it might even be fine for me to cut both of them, but I really want to start the game with like some sort of 2-drop. Just because I want things to snowball. Ugh. So I mulliganed my initial hand because it didn't have a 2-drop. Ooh, there we go. Perfect. The fact that my opponent didn't have anything is quite good for me. And now I get to have the first planeswalker on the battlefield. It would be pretty amazing if my opponent had a block and a trick here. And this might be another game where I ultimate my Nissa. Okay, so this certainly smells like Avacyn. So how can I play around that? I could try to do something where I play Rishkar and then minus the Nissa and then play Gideon and make an emblem. But that's like not that great against an opposing 5-mana Nissa or a sweeper. So I think maybe what I'll do is just play the Gideon and plus. I'm only missing out on 2 damage. And there's also a chance my opponent just has a counter spell here. He had negate last game. If my opponent counters this, then I can attack with the Sylvan Advocate, plus my Nissa, and not have to worry about anything. It looks like my opponent does indeed have negate. So that seems like it was not particularly great for me, but also not particularly bad. If my opponent did have Avacyn, he probably would have just let the Gideon resolve. At least I think that's what he probably would have done. And so I'm not going to be able to push through this, which is a little annoying. Does this have trample? This seems like a bad attack for my opponent. Get to do stuff. So the one thing that would be really bad is if our opponent cast a sweeper and then plus the Nissa to kill our Nissa. That would be pretty annoying. And minusing our Nissa isn't actually going to help anything. So we're basically going to hope that our opponent doesn't have a sweeper. The one nice thing about minusing Nissa is that it would have basically forced my opponent to have an extra land rather than just the Deathcap Cultivator, but yeah, really, really good play. This is going to be pretty difficult for us to come back from. And now our opponent's going to be able to ultimate his Nissa, which is going to be pretty hard for us to beat. It's not crazy. We might be able to beat it, but oh man. I mean, I guess that's just a 1-for-1, but it means this Nissa can just kill ours. And our opponent will be able to ultimate his Nissa without losing it. Now we really want a quarantine field stat. Just another sweeper. Ajani. Oh, that's really bad for us also. So my opponent's deck is functioning much better this time around. I mean, I guess we block. If we draw another Nissa or Rishkar, we could kill this Ajani, which would be pretty valuable. Guess actually that's valuable. Gross. Now Ajani can certainly deal with Ormendahl. Oath of Gideon, Forest, Shambling Bent. Who's got an Oath of Gideon? Be difficult. Oh man. Well, I guess we try to attack Gideon, right? Or Ajani. Should probably concede. I guess I'll wait until my next draw step and then concede. Oh, he's got Sorin, Authority of the Consuls. Yeah, we'll just concede. Alright. Wow, this is a crazy Planeswalker deck. So... I think... Against the sweepers, do I want anything? Opponent has very few creatures. I think a Lambholt Pacifist is better than Blossoming Defense, though. Seems our opponent has Sorin and Ajani as targeted removal spells. And the Blossoming Defense can be used as a way to like push damage on a Planeswalker as well, but I think that I just need to have the right density of 2 drops. So yeah, I think we're just gonna run this back again and hope things go better. We would have been able to handle Fumigate, and we would have been able to handle Nissa Vital Force. Can't imagine our opponent has that many Nissa Vital Forces, but that's what did it. So if we could draw planes, this hand would be God mode. I'll take an Oath of Nissa also. This is a good hand though. I have to admit though, our opponent's deck is kind of sweet. Ooh, Walking Ballista is pretty decent. Weirdest path that is. Ugh. Well, Gideon will be next turn. Could have also played the Walking Ballista there for 2, but that's just like not that powerful of a play. And if our opponent doesn't know about the Walking Ballista, there's a chance that we may be able to use it to finish off a Planeswalker that our opponent didn't think we would have been able to do otherwise. Yep, that's fine. This Gideon is right on time. So if our opponent has a Nissa Vital Force, this could actually get a little tricky. No, I guess it'd be fine. So our opponent can Fumigate here. And tap our Gideon so he doesn't lose his Cameo, but I think I'm still feeling like I'm in an okay position. Alright, so now our opponent could tap our knight. Yep. So now you can kill our Gideon, but it's actually super annoying. So now if he has a sweeper, we're in like really bad shape. I really want to play this Nissa because if I play it in plus and my opponent fumigates, you can just kill it. That's pretty bad. So I think I want to force him to use the sweeper and then drop the Nissa. Man, this is tough. If our opponent doesn't have a sweeper here, I think we've got a very good shot of winning. But if our opponent just fumigates here, it's going to be an uphill battle. Typically, I feel like my green-white deck is very good against opposing decks with sweepers. But when they have something like a sweeper plus Gideon or Nissa Vital Force where they can attack opposing planeswalkers, then it gets really difficult. Okay, so this I can handle. This is fine. Thalia down. So, what's the best thing that I can do here? So I can play Nissa and minus, and have Knight and Ballista attack Nissa. Rishkar attacks Sorin. Is it loss of life? I think I definitely want to make sure the Nissa dies. I guess actually it doesn't matter if I play the Nissa and minus. Wow, this is so tough. Oh, the other thing actually I can do is I can play the other Walking Ballista for 1, and then minus Nissa. And I think that gets me to where I want to be. Then I have plenty of counters to go around, and I can finish off this Aether Hub even if I wanted. I think this is good. I think this guarantees that I get a kill on both Planeswalkers. And that's a good thing. And oops. And I could finish off the Aether Hub, but I don't think it's that worth it. And I'd rather have like a chump blocker in case my opponent has another Nissa Vital Force. So. And just having a 1/1 Ballista when I have a Rishkar in hand is like pretty decent. So my opponent has 4 cards in his hand. I'm still pretty worried about this. That's fine. I don't care about that. Sweeper or Planeswalker? Yeah, that's fun. You want to kill something? Be my guest. Alright, little do you know, I have a Rishkar. Although actually, that Omnixus would be dead no matter what. This is a situation where I'm likely to time out. So I'm going to have to speed up, and my play might get loose. Yep, you get to kill my Nissa. Not happy about that. It's just life. I just sort of go for broke here. Please don't draw a sweeper. If you do, I'm dead. I have a hard time with the Planeswalk as well. Okay, that's fine. I feel like I'm not going to be able to finish this in time. Especially not with draws like that. I can't really just F6 because Walking Ballista is pretty important. Don't want to just kill that. I'm probably going to stop talking just because I think a lot of the plays are going to be obvious. And I want to make sure I go through all of this as fast as possible without messing up. Wow. So my opponent conceded there because I could attack him down to 3 and then just remove counters from my Walking Ballista to finish him off. So that's why he conceded there. Anyway, great games. I'll see you guys next week.